Hey, this is the Lights 1 TL again, and this is the final one of Gem Knights that I'm going to do. This is the vanilla based one where you use mostly vanillas and cards for support. This is the final build that I'm probably going to do for the rest of the year, but don't hold my word to that, so here we go into it. So for this one, this one more or less I made for the locals and for fun. So three tourmalines. These ones get out your main monsters. Then for your other vanillas, 2 sapphires, actually 3 sapphires, and then 2 garnets. Those are all the vanillas that you're going to run for the deck. You won't need any more. The sapphires are for defense, and this deck, instead of going completely out all offense, because most of the time in my locals I get my ass kicked if I do that. This one mostly goes for defense and destroying your opponent's monsters before they may bring out Ophion or any other monsters from the Constellar set or Evil Swans, because this deck hates them. Then for your searching cards, 2 Alexandrites, basically tribute them to search for any Gem Knight to special it. 2 Obsidians and 2 Lazulis. Now these ones do the same, more or less the same thing. These ones, when it's discarded, it searches your graveyard to special summon any level 4 or lower normal Gem Knight. However, Lazuli's effect is a bit better. When it's discarded for anywhere from your deck, from your hand, wherever, you can add any normal monster from your graveyard to your hand, so this card can actually work in different decks as well as Gem Knights. And then for your searching cards, 2 Armadillos, and for your standards, 2 rabbits. Now your armadillos search out for any of your Gem Knights which you need for your fusions, and rabbits, since you run so many normals, basically banish it and search for anything. And then just for your little support cards, 1 turtle, 1 monk, and 1 morphing jar. Now monk, I originally ran it at 2, but it became a little bit cloggy, and most spells I kinda did need. And since this more or less focuses on the fusions, you can't really use it for much exceeding. Morphing jar is my own preference, and turtle, it's because I only run 2 fusions, because sometimes it can get a little bit cloggy, and it can also, since it's a rock, can be used to make zirconia. That's it for your monsters. So for your spells, 2 Gem Knight fusions. Basically, your only fusion card for the deck, and you can banish 1 Gem Knight to add it back from your graveyard to your hand. 2 DDRs, so discard 1 card, special summon 1 banished monster, basically premature burial, but for Gem Knights. And then as for your staples, 2 MSTs, 1 Lightning Vortex, 1 Dark Hole, 1 Reborn, and 1 Heavy Storm. These are just your staples. You can move them around, do different staples if you want, but these ones I use mainly because I've been facing Evil Swans and the Elemental Dragons, and this deck actually got past them because of it. And then you run 2 Gem Enhancements, tribute Gem Knight to special summon 1 from your grave. I mainly use this as a bluff for Mirror Force, or in case my opponent's got something big, I can use it to bring back the diamond, which I usually go for at the start of the game. Then 2 Fragment Fusions, 1 Regeki Break, 3 Regeki Breaks, 1 Solemn, and 1 Return from the Different Dimension. Now, the Fragment Fusions I use as my backup during my opponent's turn, since it's basically a Miracle Fusion, banishing your Gem Knights to special summon 1 Gem Knight Fusion from your extra deck. However, downside is during the end phase it's destroyed. That's why I run the Return from the Different Dimension, and Solemn, it's Solemn, and Regeki Breaks discard to get around Ophion or any Constellars or any monster your opponent's got before they can use its abilities. So that's it for the main deck, and for your extra deck, you go for 2 Master Diamonds. Now I usually use the Fragment Fusions to bring it out, or the Gem Knight Fusions, but I rarely use the Gem Knight Fusions because I save them for Zirconia and the others. But Diamond can copy any Gem Knight's abilities in the graveyard by banishing it, and it gains an extra 1000 Moan Be Quiet. It can be used to make it can copy any abilities and gain an extra 1000 by having Gem Knights in the graveyard. And then 2 Zirconia, two zirconias. This one is your main beta of the deck, even though it's a vanilla. One rock type and one gem knight monster, which your whole deck is about. All your monster counts is about 70% rocks, so you can bring it out really easily. Two aquamarines. These are your defenders, which you use to basically get past everything. When it attacks, it can go back into defense position, and if your opponent gets past it anywhere, it changes one of their monsters to defense mode. Then two Parisiums. These ones are your thunders. You use one thunder and one gem knight. Discard one gem knight card to destroy one card on the field. That specifies as any gem knight cards, so you can use fusion, and then banish another gem knight to put fusion back to your hand. And then for your just leftovers, your originals from the start set, ruby and topaz, and your one citrine. Now I only run these three, as that one I bring out for the Master Diamond can copy its abilities later. Ruby to get past their big defenders, and citrine I usually bring out in my first or second turn as a backup plan in case they've got mirror force or anything, because when it declares an attack your opponent cannot activate anything. So that's it for the fusions. And then for your extra deck, it's just staples of Utopia, Black Ship of Corn, Shockmaster, and Utopia Ray. Now the main one that I usually do bring out is Shockmaster or Black Ship. Utopia and Utopia Ray are just saved for reserves, and nothing more than if you get down to your last 1,000 life points. But if you got down to your last 1,000, you've lost, or you've not ran the deck properly. And I'll just show you quickly some of the methods of how this deck can actually work. But your main opening hand actually does vary depending on if you have a side deck, but in this video I don't have a side deck because this deck is very hard to side against opponents' things, because if you're a Macrocosmos it will screw you, if you're on Dim Prison it will screw you, and it's hard to basically side against Dark Worlds or anything else like that. But for your main opening hands in your deck, I'll just quickly show you. You can get Regeki Break, Alexandrite, Garnet, Enhancement, and Tourmaline, and then the next card would be a Dark Hole. So your main thing would be just to set the Tourmaline and the Regeki Break, and then if your opponent brings out Ophian, Regeki Break it before they use its abilities. And if you want to set the enhancement for your next turn, which you will pull a Lazuli, which you could then use the break with Lazuli if they get past Tourmaline or anything. But the only thing I would ever want to change is I would want to take out maybe one Regeki Break and put in another fusion, and preferably put in one more Lazuli or Obsidian, for the fact I can recycle cards from my graveyard and make the deck a bit more consistent. Because usually in this deck, when I ran it with 3 fusions, I could, if I didn't draw all 3 fusions in one go, which I always had a bad habit of, I could swarm the whole field for any of my big monsters like Ruby, sometimes Zirconia, or on my most chance I usually go for the Master Diamond with the, and then let it copy Topaz's abilities or Ruby's or any of the other. But the main ability that you use for Master Diamond for is to copy Topaz's, so it's got the ability to be able to attack twice, and when it destroys an opponent's monster they get burned damage equal to that monster's attack. So Master Diamond, you can make it up to 3,500 attack, it attacks twice and burns them. So that's my Gem Knight deck, so thanks for watching, bye!